On Sunday, January 9th, 2011, the Jewish world lost an extraordinary soul, a wonderful, gentle, loving woman who literally changed the sound of Jewish prayer, Jewish song, Jewish spirit. She literally changed the sound of Jewish with her remarkable gift of writing contemporary Jewish music that reflected the best in the Jewish tradition and touched the soul of thousands, perhaps millions of Jews who heard and sang her songs. I'm speaking, of course, of Debbie Friedman, who passed away at the much too young age of 59. It's very rare that someone can so profoundly affect Jewish life with a guitar and a voice and the creation of song. Yes, we always have appreciated the artist, the singer, the performer, and the great chazans, cantors, who've enriched Jewish history with their art, certainly have had their impact on Jewish liturgy, Jewish prayer. But Debbie Friedman was unique, a rare talent unto herself. She was certainly not the first Jewish song leader, camp song leader, who came out of the Reform movement in the early 1970s. But there was a magic to her and her music, to her uncanny ability to marry words with her original melodies in a way that gave new meaning and new power to traditional texts, liturgy, and Bible, and did so in a way that excited and energized successive young generations of Jews in the Reform movement, in the conservative movement, and many also in the Orthodox community. Young people who then became the older generation, while the next young generation thrilled to and embraced Debbie's poetry in song. And as great a talent as she was, and as great a contribution as Debbie Friedman made as a musician and composer, Debbie was an equally gifted human being, a remarkable woman. And she was one of the loveliest human beings I've ever known. And my limited experience with Debbie, limited though profound, was what everyone who knew her experienced. I'm slightly older than Debbie Friedman, but she began composing as I first became a rabbi. She played the guitar. Some of you may know I play the accordion, and I incorporated much of Debbie's music into the services I led then and continue to lead now. At every service, for example, we sing Debbie Friedman's V'ahavta in English, a call to love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. It was not only a new melody for an ancient prayer, it was also a melody for a Jewish saying never before set to music. So that one of Debbie's songs we've sung over and over in my congregation is her vibrant melody to Theodor Herzl's immortal phrase, Im tirtzu ein zo agada, if you will it, it is no dream. Debbie performed everywhere, amazingly, as a Jewish songwriter, produced numerous albums, sang at camps, national conventions, twice selling out Carnegie Hall, and taping her 2001 Hillel concert at the University of Washington. From folk songs to love songs to her moving Misha Berach, that prays for the blessing of healing for all in need.
May the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage.
Everything Debbie Friedman wrote reflected her musical genius, and her art came out of her love of the Jewish tradition, which she spread everywhere through her music and by her presence. The last time Debbie and I were together was at a Federation's General Assembly. For years, Debbie suffered from a neurological disease that virtually confined her to a wheelchair. She had remarkable courage. It never seemed to dampen her spirits when she was with others, and she continued to write and perform. But fortunately, Debbie was well when I saw her last, walking the convention hall, helping plan for her own community's participation. And as always, she was so lovely to me. We talked about Shalom TV, and she graciously said she'd be delighted to sit with me to talk about her life and her work on camera, and to do some of her and my favorite songs of hers. And I vividly remember how, as we parted, I thought to myself, what a special person she is. How unaffected she is by her star status, which seems to infect so many performers. And in the Jewish world, and in a real way in the world at large, Debbie Friedman was a real star in every sense of the word. And I'm so, so sorry that I never had the chance to talk with her in front of you. But there are many, many people who knew Debbie far better than I did, especially those involved in the Reform movement. And the Union of Reform Judaism has been kind enough to provide us with a video in Debbie's honor. We'd like to play that video for you now.
It was the late 60s, and the soundtrack of our lives had begun to change. Our young people were responding to a new generation of artists who were singing a creative blend of poetry, folk music, spiritual, and political messages. Among the most avid listeners was a young Jewish girl in Minneapolis, St. Paul, named Debbie Friedman. Quiet, unassuming, and perhaps the most unlikely to become a cultural icon, Debbie began to fuse her passion for the new music and her love of Judaism. And the result was a musical phenomenon whose impact is felt to this day, and at this very biennial. We all began to see the world through her eyes, through her words, through her music, and through her passion. Suddenly, prayer became music, and her music became inspiration for a new generation. Her music had crossed generational lines, sects of Judaism, and date lines. From children's songs to congregational liturgy. From school choirs to cantorial standards. From song leading at URJ camps to selling out Carnegie Hall. From 8-track tapes to iPods, Debbie Friedman is a pioneer whose themes have become so much a part of our lives that we sometimes lose sight of where it all began. Through the years, her music has sparked a resurgence of gifted artists who share their message of prayer through song, and has sparked a renewed spirit among young Jews looking for their place in our worldwide Jewish community. Who could have predicted that she would create the soundtrack of our lives?
Sing unto God, sing a new song, oh, sing praises to God, give thanks to Him with a song.
I had a copy of Sing Unto God, which was her first album, that she gave me on tape before it was ever pressed. And I sat down at camp one summer day with a group of rabbis, a small group of rabbis, and played it. And they looked at me and said, "It's very nice, but this is not what we understand, what we do, or what will happen in our synagogues." On the other hand, song leaders and the kids were ecstatic and taken by it and captivated and made of it their own in no time at all.
Today's the day we take our stand. The future's ours to hold.
Debbie was one of the first individuals to combine Hebrew and English words in the same text. Think of Lechi Lach, to a place that I will show you. Or the Misha Berach with words in Hebrew and English. The English tells you exactly what the song is about, what the prayer is about, even if you don't understand the Hebrew. And she was able to get us feel comfortable singing Hebrew words because she gave us the English language spiritual overlay, which can be translated into any language. It was a very creative spin. And frankly, Debbie reintroduced English into the American Reform vocabulary in the 1970s after it had been totally banished. By creating a whole new genre of Jewish music, Debbie was able to reintroduce authentic spirituality, Jewish spirituality, into our camping system. I don't know if that was her intention, but that was the result of what her music did. And so she wrote melodies that spoke to us, spoke to our intellect, and spoke to our emotions.
She changed the nature and focus and direction of what song leading is, and that she was able to turn worship and prayer into music that everybody was involved in and that everybody found to be responsive to their hearts.
I am so grateful for the path that you have forged and allowed so many of us to follow. And just as the women followed Miriam, so many of us women have followed you. And whether you planned it or not, we are here because of what you have done with your career.
And she's inspired multiple generations now of song leaders and people in the Jewish music field to realize that there are no boundaries, that you know, it's all about inspiration and making people feel happy.
See the world to stand among the trees and all the living things.
I think one of the coolest things about Debbie Friedman is that it's not what she did, it's what she's still doing. She is so relevant and so amazing and still writing such amazing songs and being such a present-day influence on everyone around her.
I would say Debbie Friedman has carved a very powerful legacy in the Jewish world, because she took all the energies of the folk music that preceded it and turned it into something that directly related to Jewishness. I don't think anybody else has done that, and she's done it brilliantly.
And it has moved from that single moment of rethinking Jewish music to rethinking Jewish life, using Jewish music. And that's been because Debbie Friedman has persisted in not just creating, but challenging each of us to be different and think differently and sing differently and worship differently and become transformed using the music.
Shall dream dreams, and the youth shall see visions, and our hopes shall rise up to live for today and build for tomorrow.
Debbie Friedman is an extraordinary treasure of our movement and a person of great influence, something we sometimes forget. 20 or 30 years ago, American Jews, like most Americans, had forgotten how to sing. Debbie reminded us how to sing. She taught us how to sing. She gave us the vehicles that enabled us to sing. And then she impacted our youth in our camps, and ultimately from there, she impacted our synagogues. What happens in the synagogues of Reform Judaism today, those voices of song are in large measure due to the insight and to the brilliance and to the influence of Debbie Friedman.
By the way, often a song leader can be good at leading songs without being an accomplished musician. Debbie Friedman was a real musician, highly respected by all those in the music world. At Michael Dorf's City Winery in downtown New York City, the Jewish arts and entertainment community happened to be gathering for the 2011 Shmooze Conference and Oyhu Music Festival of the IJPA, the International Jewish Presenters Association. It was only 2 days after Debbie's passing, and they all took time out at the beginning of the conference to pay tribute to Debbie Friedman, whom many of them knew personally, many of whom loved her dearly. Here are some of the things Debbie's colleagues and those influenced by her work had to say about her and to sing Debbie's songs.
We all have loved Debbie for a long time, and I don't think everyone realized how much a part of what they do she was a catalyst or an element of.
She was just one of those people that gave endlessly, just gave and gave. And as a fellow human being, as a fellow artist, she was just a deep inspiration and someone I just really loved.
What I liked about the Debbie Friedman idea, as I perceived it, is that she was always working from a very deep and spiritual place of honesty and integrity, which I think is the raison d'être of an artist. It should never be from any other place but honesty, integrity, and depth. And I think she made that her life's work, and I think that we've all suffered a great loss in that sense.
1974, I was a little kid, St. Louis, Missouri, and Debbie Friedman came to sing. And what she was able to do for a traditional suburban congregation was to get people to open up their hearts, to come together, to sing out, to take a risk. And she did it in the most courageous, loving, supportive way. Her music is wonderful. You know, I mean, there are many things she could do, but I think that as an artist, I thought she inspired us to be our full selves. And I think it's really true. I mean, I think we as a Jewish community are a big family, for better and for worse. And there's a way that I think that she was trying to reach for the best of us.
Those Those who sow will sow in tears, will reap with joy, will reap with joy. Those who sow will sow with tears, will reap with joy.
People that were maybe not connected to the community before through Debbie's work found a connection, and it's just really inspiring. And today, especially here at Shmooze, you see how she really touched a lot of people and left her mark on a lot of people, and it's a very tragic loss.
Her music stirred and sparked and lit my spirit as a little girl. I feel like it's because of her that I'm doing what I'm doing now, and I take the ruach and the love and this passion for, for music and Jewish culture. I take it with me, and now I've sort of made it my voice, but I really feel that she's part of my voice. And, I love her, and I love her. My album that I'm coming out with now is called Shabbat Shaboom. And in the middle of the night, I woke up over the summer, and I had this strong feeling that I'm supposed to put Debbie Friedman's Havdalah as the finale on this album, which I did. And I did sort of my own take on it. So this new album, in a way, feels like a celebration of Debbie Friedman. I've never done a cover song of somebody else, and this is the first, and it's like Debbie Friedman inspired me.
So with tears we'll reap with joy. Let's wake up now. Those who sow will sow with tears, will reap with joy, will reap with joy. Those who sow will sow with tears, will reap with joy. One more time for Debbie Friedman's memory. Those who sow will sow with tears, will reap with joy, will reap with joy.
It's a sad time, but I feel just so grateful that she lived and she gave us so much ruach, and it's like all of the musicians of today can take it and keep it going.
She was a huge influence on me in my life, and I feel like anytime someone comes up with a guitar and starts singing songs, in the Jewish world at least, she kind of was a pioneer for that.
May you be blessed with health and joy. May this be your blessing. Amen. May this be your blessing. Amen.
So many, nifty kids grew up on her that are now my age, and she's not just camp music anymore. So I think it's sad that there's a whole new generation of kids that will never get to see her. But I do hope that she lives on and that people continue to play her music and give the new kids that are coming an opportunity to feel that connected to Judaism through music.
May health and compassion find the way to your soul. May this be your blessing. Amen.
A very talented film producer, Ann Koppel, produced a documentary about Debbie Friedman entitled A Journey of Spirit. Here's a moment from that documentary.
If you stand on a bima, or if you stand on a stage, and you've got anywhere from, at any given time, between 300 and 5,000 people singing, you can't help but be lifted. What it feels like is that they're singing, we're all singing together, but they're singing, and their voices are like up there, and you're just kind of floating. It's the most amazing feeling, and to see everybody standing together and to see everybody singing together. I mean, it's what the world needs. I want to engage with people and help them find ways in which they can go inside of themselves in a reflective and responsible way, where they can examine who and what they are, where they can begin to feel who and what they are.
There was a time when I would go into a synagogue, and if I would come in humming a Debbie Friedman tune, everybody would say, well, that's camp music. That doesn't belong here. It doesn't belong in the synagogue.
I think that it would be safe to say today that Debbie Friedman is the most popular performer of Jewish music throughout the United States.
She's broken through all these boundaries without having the credentials, without doing it the way she was supposed to do it, because she reaches into people's hearts.
Oh, you, God, my shield.
I love the richness of the tradition of the text and the poetry of the text, and I like to play with the text. I like to play with the words of the text. And I think that it lends itself to new interpretations and new ways of being incorporated into our lives.
In many ways, she's transformed the way women experience Judaism. Women didn't have a chance to cast the liturgy, and she's a model for all young women to think about the meaning of Judaism and to create today's sacred texts.
I think that music works as a unifying vehicle. You come together and you create something whole and something full by the use of music.
For more information about A Journey of Spirit, visit ajourneyofspirit.com.
Again, it's so rare for someone to be as influential, to have as much impact as a song leader, with a guitar, as a composer, and a singer, as Debbie had. But Debbie Friedman had real, profound impact on the Jewish world. Her life ended too soon, but no one's guaranteed any specific length of time on earth. The challenge for each of us is to use our time, the time we have, wisely, creatively, in loving relationships with other people, and if we're lucky, enhancing the lives of others, improving the world, even in little ways. Debbie Friedman did all that and more in a big way that will endure as long as people sing and thrill to her music. And when Debbie passed, it may be said that it was heard in heaven, perhaps even in song. Well done, Debbie Friedman. Well done. Dina Leah Bat Gabriel Vefredel, Debbie Friedman, Zecher Tzadika Livracha. The memory of the righteous is forever a blessing.
And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. And you shall be a blessing. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who can send a tax-deductible contribution of $36 or more to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media, to help support our programming. Tax-deductible checks may be made out to GEM and mailed to GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. Please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD, and we thank you for your kind support.